In less than 1 month, the 2021 MLS season will begin, and almost every team has been looking to improve their roster and add new parts to boost their team. So, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to point out a few key signings from each of the 27 teams in the league. We will begin with the Western Conference, and then next week I will be going over some of the biggest signings in the East. I'm going to start off with expansion side Austin FC. Now, this is probably one of the most difficult teams to pick only one signing from, and that's because once they're a new team, every player they have is a new signing. But I've decided that I'd go with the signing of Alex Ring from New York City FC. Now, one of the reasons I think this is probably one of the best signings of this young team is because of Ring's MLS experience. Ring has shown himself over the past few years to be one of the best mids in the league. He has lots of experience with over 110 games logged in the MLS. Just as we saw with Nashville last season, opting for MLS veterans who have performed well and know the league can yield great results. I think starting off with a strong foundation in Ring is a very effective strategy for a new expansion team. Austin traded $500,000 in 2021 GAM and $250,000 in 2022 GAM for the former NYCFC captain. Next up is the Colorado Rapids. Now, the Rapids are looking to increase their level in MLS after securing their first playoff berth last season since 2016. To do so, the team brought in Michael Barrios from FC Dallas. Barrios is a very pacey winger, and he spent his last 6 years in Dallas. He doesn't look to be a signing for the first team, at least right away, but he can definitely make an impact off the bench, taking on tired legs. Barrios is a strong playmaker on the wing, and he was tied in 5th place for chances created last season. In 2019, he had 15 assists in 32 games, and if he can reach those type of numbers again for the Rapids, then they definitely secured themselves a top player. Colorado traded an international roster spot and the 15th overall pick in the 2021 Super Draft for Barrios. Moving on to Barrios' former team, FC Dallas, they have brought in a Spanish center back with European experience. Jose Martinez was signed from Spanish side Eibar, but has been playing on loan at Granada for the last 2 years. After losing Redo Ziegler, FC Dallas were looking for a new center back to help lead the line this upcoming season. Head coach Luchi Gonzalez told the media that they see Martinez as a ball-playing center back who will be able to control the back line easily and help transition the ball into attacking positions from the back. Martinez is only 27 years old, so he could easily become a dependable figure in this FC Dallas team for years to come. Staying in Texas, the Houston Dynamo had a lot of thinking to do to help improve the team that finished dead last in the West in 2020. After conceding 40 goals in 22 games, Houston's priority during the offseason was to strengthen their center of defense. I would say they've done that, or at least taken steps to do that, in the signing of 27-year-old Tim Parker from the Red Bulls. Parker comes to Houston with 155 appearances in the MLS, including 3 consecutive playoff berths with New York. Parker will not only bring experience to the Houston back line, but also leadership skills as well. Parker finished with the 2nd most clearances and blocks on the Red Bulls in the 2020 campaign. Houston acquired Tim Parker in exchange for $300,000 in GAM in 2021 and $150,000 in GAM in 2022. There's also up to $600,000 in additional performance-based incentives. For LAFC, other than bringing in center back Murillo on a permanent deal, their biggest signing would be Kim Moon-Hwan from the K-League. Moon is seen as a dynamic right back in the prime of his career. He also brings international experience to LA from his 11 appearances with the Korean national team. From his highlights and stats, Moon has a pretty good ball-playing ability and has 9 goals and 7 assists in all competitions in Korea. The other team in LA has also been busy during the offseason. Their key signing, in my opinion, is Jorge Villafaña from the Portland Timbers. Personally, I have been impressed with Villafaña's time in Portland, and I did not expect this move when I first heard of it. Jorge has spent quite a large part of his career in MLS, playing with the now defunct Chivas USA and Portland. In his 100+ games for Portland, he has 18 assists, which is the 5th most assists for the Timbers in their MLS history. This may not be the solution to the Galaxy's left back position for a long time, but I do think that the 31-year-old will definitely help improve this LA team that has been struggling in recent years. Minnesota United have not been too active in off-season signings, or at least they haven't been active in big off-season signings. They were able to re-sign veteran Alonso after his contract ended, but they still have a few questions in a few positions. To solve their problem at the 9, they have gone with free agent Juan Agudelo, who spent his last year at Inter Miami. Agudelo is only 28, but he's a talent that has never reached his full potential. His highest scoring season was with New England in 2017, with 8 goals in 28 games. But that still isn't the ideal production in what is right now their starting striker. Portland have spent their offseason fine-tuning their already set team. I think their best business was bringing in Chivas Guadalajara right back Jose Carlos Van Rankin on loan. In the press release, the Timbers stated that Van Rankin would help balance out the team and provide more depth when competing in MLS and CCL this season. Van Rankin is only 27 years old and is praised for his 1v1 defending. The Timbers have a $1 million option to buy at the end of his 1-year loan. Real Salt Lake are one of the teams with almost no marquee signings to date. Finishing second from the bottom in the West, you would think that they would be looking to bring in some top talent, but they are going through quite a lot at the moment. With no real owner, it's probably quite difficult to bring in players without a stable vision for the future. They brought in USL journeyman Ruben Rubio as their number 9 this year. Rubio has 7 goals in 5 games in 2020 for San Diego Loyal, and will now have his first season in the MLS. Rubio was named U.S. Soccer Young Male Athlete of the Year in 2012, but he has not done much since then. The San Jose Earthquakes have brought in a couple decent signings this offseason, but what I believe to be the most impactful one will be Eduardo Chofis Lopez from Chivas. Head coach Almeida is notorious for his demanding high-pressure tactics, so bringing in one of his former players is a common theme we have seen in San Jose's recent transfers. Chofis will serve as the team's number 10 and has a decent record of 21 goals and 12 assists in 185 games. They are hopeful Chofis will flourish like he did under Almeida in the 2015 to 2018 seasons. For the MLS Cup runners-up, they no longer look like the team they were when they finished the league last year. They've lost several players and brought in a few that I don't think quite match what they've lost. To replace the now injured Jordan Morris, they have brought in free agent and former New England player Kellen Rowe. The Seattle native has 8 years of MLS experience, which includes 252 appearances. Rowe is a versatile player who can play on the wings or in the midfield. He has 30 goals and 44 assists in the MLS and will for sure help supply lethal finisher Raul Ruidiaz. Rowe didn't have the best 2020 seasons though, failing to score or assist in the league, but I'm hopeful that he can fit well in Brian Smetzer's system. Our second to last team we're going to be taking a look at today is Sporting Kansas City. Now, even though they finished on the top of the West last year, there's a lot of speculation about whether that's just because of the opponents that they played during the season. The big question for them was their defense, and that's where I think they made their best signing this year. Coming into the team is Nicolas Ismat-Miram, a 29-year-old center back with experience in France, Holland, and in the Champions League. Sporting were looking thin in the back after losing 2 players, but they're hopeful Nicolas will help provide experience and leadership to the team. The final team in today's video is the Vancouver Whitecaps. The Whitecaps have signed some pretty big names this offseason in order to help them get into the playoffs for the first time since 2017. To me, the biggest signing is Caicedo, a 20-year-old Colombian who will be expected to play a lot on the left-hand side of this Vancouver team. One of the key parts of this signing is the potential that Caicedo has in his locker. Even at 20 years old, he has over 4,000 first-team minutes and hopefully can help Vancouver achieve a spot in the postseason, as well as help launch his career to Europe. So that's the biggest signing from every Western Conference team this offseason. There's a good range of European talents, MLS veterans, and South American players coming through the league this year. Is there a player you think I should have mentioned? Well, let me know in the comments, and be sure to keep an eye out for my Eastern Conference signing video next week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.